Hello again, my little babies. Welcome back to the vault. Second review in the review dump, and the film I'll be reviewing is Elvis. So let's just jump straight into it. This one opens with an introduction to Colonel Tom Parker before we witness the birth of Elvis Presley as a young man. Not a literal birth, but just his origins, and how he grew up as a kid. A really talented cast for this one. Newcomer Austin Butler plays the icon and honestly gives a fantastic performance. Not only is he the spitting image of Presley, he's also nailed his voice and way of speaking and his mannerisms and way of moving. Butler is joined by Tom Hanks, and honestly it was a treat to see Hanks play a role that was more shady and more scumbaggish than what he usually plays. He and Butler really worked well together. Both are joined by a wonderful supporting cast. There's Olivia DeJonge, Maggie Gyllenhaal, who I didn't recognise in the film. I don't remember seeing her, but Alton Mason, Natalie Bassett, and Xavier Samuel. Dacre Montgomery also has a wonderful little part, playing a rather likeable character who helps Elvis realise who he is and go back to what he loves the most, the music. The story for this one obviously tells of the life and times of the biggest rock star of all time, the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley. The pacing for this film, considering the lengthy runtime, is fast and snappy. There are quick scenes of exposition that help tenfold to push the narrative along. Nothing feels rushed or overstuffed, which again, is a feat in and of itself with a 2 hour and 40-minute film. Just a naturally progressing story detailing this man's life. Presley's life was a truly fascinating one, but also very sad. Like a lot of global superstars that came after him, Elvis was used and manipulated by those he thought closest to him. I have never felt such hatred and disgust like I have for Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis's manager, but it was honestly heartbreaking to watch him manipulate, gaslight, and financially abuse Elvis for his own personal gain, and to find out through my own research that the majority of what he did was true, and he was actually like that in real life, really just made me hate him even more. Kudos to, the writing for portraying this horrible man so perfectly and for managing to nail the absolute fever people experienced and must have felt, when Elvis was in his prime. It must have been truly something and truly an amazing experience to see him live, see him perform, in the flesh. Baz Luhrmann directs this one, and he certainly has his own unique directing style and way of telling stories. He honestly gives a really entertaining and engaging story about one of the greatest music artists of all time. The way he manages to convey so much through 10-20 second camera shots is admirable. I think this is why the film could get away with being as long as it was, because it was snappy, telling the story and hitting off all those narrative beats. Truly a talented director that successfully added his own flair to a film about a man with so much already. I also have to mention the stellar music. There was the music from the man himself, obviously, but they were able to mix that with far more modern music, which really worked and gelled well with Elvis's kind of music. There were also some beautiful covers, of the more somber songs, of his more somber songs, which I really loved. Well done to the music supervisor on this film. And the only thing I really learned from this was that all I need to do to get the ladies is just wiggle my hips a little bit, but I don't really think it will have the same effect as when he did it. But there we have it, guys. That's my very quick review for Elvis. Let's just jump to the two most important questions. Question number one: would I recommend this film? I would 100% recommend this film. Before going into it, I wouldn't even consider myself like a huge Elvis fan, because I'm not. I mean, obviously there's a couple songs I know and like. Mostly the remix of his Little Less Conversation, but I would not say I was a huge fan going into this film. With films like this, with films about biopics on musicians or whatever, if I go into this film and then after I come out of this film it makes me want to listen to that particular artist, then I will call that film a success, which this film did. I came out wanting to listen to Elvis. I listened to some Elvis, and I've now got a bit more of an appreciation for the man. So even if you aren't a huge fan of him, I would still recommend watching this film because it is entertaining. It's heartbreaking as well, to see what he went through with his manager. It's just generally an all-round entertaining, engaging film. So having said that, question number 2, does this film belong on the vault? I guess my only issue was that the film introduced a narrative thread of Elvis taking drugs and then dropped it early on in the film. It wasn't brought back up again until the last 30 or so minutes of the film. It just felt a little bit inconsistent. I mean, you could have just had maybe 1 or 2 scenes of him, I don't know, popping pills, or I don't know, it just felt a bit, a bit like it was dropped and then kind of hastily picked back up again. But that was a very minor grievance, minor chagrin. Like I said, this film is incredibly enjoyable. Made me want to listen to the man's music. So there's that little diamond star. It's followed by as it goes off to the vault. There we have it, guys. There's my review for Elvis. As always, if you've seen it and you loved it, let me know what you loved down in the comments below. If you really disliked it, be interested to know what you disliked. And as always, guys, if you like what I'm doing here, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, your pets, your families, your friendly neighborhood kings of rock and roll. Until next one, peace and love, my dudes.